It's Wednesday, January 15th, 2020, around midday, and I'm on the Appalachian Trail in central Pennsylvania. The week hasn't gone as planned, unfortunately. This past weekend, I drove back to Pennsylvania from North Carolina. I cleaned and moved out of the Toyota Tacoma. And then on Monday, I went to OK Four-Wheel Drive to pick up the Jeep. As soon as I got there, I looked over the work, and the Jeep has a lot of new suspension components, solar panel, and the gasoline heater install is very elegant. It looks great. They tested the heater extensively the week before, and it was brilliant. In a matter of minutes, the entire cabin was toasty, and it was quiet and ran flawlessly. However, right before I got there to pick it up, the heater started blowing cold air. So on Monday, I hung out at the shop while the guys did troubleshooting, and what they found was my factory gas tank, which was the fuel source that they had tapped, was absolutely contaminated. The fuel was dirty, discolored, and apparently the new heater was drawing in this contaminated fuel. So they dropped the gas tank, purged the contaminated fuel, cleaned it out, added fresh fuel, and then tried again. It was still no go, so they tore it apart even further, and they found the inside of the heater itself was just caked with this disgusting burnt sludge. It looked like about 5 years of dirt accumulation after only 5 hours of runtime. And that's where we're at. Right now, they're at the shop, busting their butts to get it sorted, and that's exactly why I'm not there. I'd just be standing around, hovering over them with the camera, and I don't want to do that. I want to give them their space. For love of... Over the holidays, I picked up some backpacking gear, and I first had this idea in Quebec after my accident. During the accident, the Jeep was on its side, which rendered the camper useless, and I didn't know how long it would take for me to be rescued, so I felt like what I was really lacking in that instance was a bug-out bag. Something with enough capacity that I could carry my essential belongings on my back, and an extra shelter, a two-person backpacking tent. So if the Jeep is on its roof at the bottom of a lake or it's a burned out shell, then I have this to fall back on. And the other reason, of course, is just to go a little bit deeper in my hikes. Now I'm not limited to day hikes, and especially in national parks, I can delve even further off the beaten path. The pack that I'm wearing is a Baltoro 65 by Gregory, and I did some research on the web and found that it offers a great deal of utility, which is what I need, because I'm going to be carrying a bunch of different things for various durations. I'm still experimenting with fitment and different packing configurations, and this is the very first time I've had it out. I'm really excited about this. I can't remember the last time that I slept outside in a ground tent, next to a hiking trail in the middle of the wilderness. I totally forgot to bring a fire starting apparatus, and my bushcraft is lame. This is cool. I'm gonna sleep well tonight. I can think of dozens of occasions in the past 3 years where I stumbled upon campsites that were tent only, and I haven't been able to take advantage of them. Well, now I can. Tomorrow I'm gonna break camp as early as I can. I have a 3-mile hike back to the truck, and from here I want to go to the shop. Regardless of the status of the Jeep, I want to show you all what's going on and to look over things myself. I'm excited. It's Thursday morning and I'm on my way back to the truck. I slept well last night. There was a little bit of rain, but I kept warm and dry. Now this morning the wind has picked up and I'm keeping an eye open for falling limbs. I'm hearing them all over the place. Alright, it's 9:53 a.m. I'm back in the truck and I am off to the shop. I-78 is a parking lot. I think they are line painting up ahead. At this rate, I'll get there after lunch. Here is the rear floor pan, and they have it all torn apart because they're waiting for a part, but the heater itself gets mounted in this factory basin right here. And they have piping cut through the floor that goes up here to the vent that is mounted up here on top of this fender. This is the rheostat for the heater. It's how I turn it on and adjust the output. This is the vent. This is where the warm air is going to come from, and it's in this location because it's a relatively short distance from the source, and also being in this cavity right here guarantees that it's not obstructed by any of my gear. Carbon monoxide detector temporarily velcroed to the ceiling. This is all hanging down right now because, of course, they're still working on it, but they integrated the exhaust for the heater into the tailpipe itself. This basin that's now the home for my heater used to house my recovery gear, and I liked it down there, so that was a compromise that I needed to make. once this is all back together again, I need to go through it all and figure out the best place for the recovery gear. I got these bags by X-Cargo that should help make up for the loss of storage space. SUNFLARE 105 watt flexible solar panel. Mounted to a flat piece of aluminum, it's extremely low profile and I could still mount my kayak on top of that if I wanted to. A VICTRON Energy SMARTSOLAR charge controller mounted to the passenger front firewall in the footwell. This has Bluetooth, and there is a smartphone app for this that will allow me to monitor performance. This was the gas that was pumping up to the heater when they were troubleshooting on Monday. And this is some of the burnt sludge that they scraped out of the heater itself. I just talked with the guys inside and they hope to have it put together again tomorrow, Friday, and I should be able to pick it up on Saturday after some more testing. I just have to be patient for a little bit longer. I do my very best to adhere to keep it simple philosophy. That means make minimal invasive changes to the core vehicle, and when you introduce complex modifications such as this one, it increases the potential for failure, which can be very frustrating and result in more downtime. Now, I made an exception in this case because on paper, the Webasto heater looks phenomenal. It should be an extremely effective and efficient heat source that I'll be able to run for hours on end without worrying about fuel or anything. So if that's the case, it's going to be a game changer. Sorry that the run time for this week's episode was so short, but like I said, things didn't go quite as planned, and then after I went to go get the Jeep on Monday and that didn't happen, I just sat by the phone for the next few days. But it looks like I'm on track to get the Jeep back on Saturday, and then after that, I'm going to shuffle some gear around and move back in, and then start working my way west. I'm committed to a few events so far this year, and that is the vendor show at Easter Jeep Safari in Moab in April, and Overland Expo West in Arizona in May, I think that is. That's in Flagstaff. And then the new Overland Expo in the Rocky Mountains. I think it's in Colorado in August. I didn't look them up before recording this, so I'm hoping that I'm right about those dates. But I will definitely be at all three of those venues representing Ursa Minor Vehicles, which is the company that makes the pop-up camper on top of the Jeep. So I'm going to call that a wrap for this week. I hope you enjoyed this update, and I'm expecting circumstances to be quite different next week. We'll get the show back on the road. Thanks for following along, and I will catch up with you next Friday.